take a deep breath. No, seriously. Breathe in and out. Welcome to the new year here at No-Valo and to our very first episode of our round table. The December playlist has finally come to a pause. The fireworks have stopped and you find yourself in the silence of January. Very often this time of the year, we make these fresh starts that we want, massive New Year's resolution, like I want to be an A student this year, or this is the year where I am securing the bag, or I want to find that I'm going to reinvent myself in the new year. But what you won't find on TikTok is that transition can also be very traumatic. This is a time where you need to learn how to best adapt to this new silence that you might find yourself in. And that is what we'll be looking at in our very first episode today. How do you, as a young person who's just finished matric, adjust to this new world that you're entering into, the ocean of university, where you are just a tiny little fish? Join me in this first episode where we will hear from experts and other students who have walked this journey before you as they share authentically from their insights as well as their journeys. We hope that you enjoy the session. On our panel today, we have Dr. Opane. Dr. Opane is a research psychologist at the University of Johannesburg and also a lecturer there. We also have Benita. Benita is about to do her third year at the University of Johannesburg and she is studying industrial engineering at the institution. We also have with us Zanele. Zanele is the CEO as well as the founder of No-Valo Learning Center. We have Michelle with us today. Michelle is a lecturer at the University of Witwatersrand, where she's also the program head for the students that are sponsored by Margo Steel as well as Tutuga Bursary Fund. And last but not least, we have Teboho with us, and Teboho is from SAICA. She is the program bursary head for Tutuga at SAICA. Hello ladies, a very warm welcome to all of you to the very first No-Valo Round Table. I think and I hope that you're just as excited as I am for us to delve into conversation today. And the theme at which we are delving into conversation today is going to be looking at adjusting to university. We know that many students from matric had just gotten their results and they're about to take the big leap into a whole other world of university. And that's where the conversation will be going into today. And Michelle, I'm going to start the conversation with you because you've had years of experience and seeing students come through the doors of WITS. And for you, in the years that you've seen this, what is the number one reason that you find students who did very well in matric coming in with distinctions and not doing so well, especially in their first year when they enter university?
Well, a really nice question. Yes, to get to university is an amazing accomplishment, but in many cases the work has been done alone. It's school is there, teacher support, but the students that make it through the doors have had to spend hours of their lives working on their own, trying to prove or showing what they know. And they're rewarded with that, with their excellent results. But when you get to university, it's not about what you know that's important, it's what you don't know. And so students need to befriend what they don't know. And many of them feel that they're there to show off what they do know. And when they aren't able to do that, they feel that they're a failure. But actually, the real challenge and excitement about university is discovering and befriending what you don't know in order to grow.
Wow, I love that. Befriending what you don't know instead of, and of course, human nature wants you to stay comfortable in what you know. And you need to break through that uncomfortability in that area, and that can be extremely uncomfortable, I suppose, for them. And I mean, I'm glad, Benita, that we have you. You've walked the journey of being new to university now that you're going into your third year this year. For you, Benita, when you walked into UJ, what was your biggest shock to your system that you're like, oh my word?
Sure, okay. Thank you so much for the floor, Tilly. For me, I had quite a few shocks, cultural shocks in specific. But I think my biggest shock was the amount of resources actually that they allocate to us. I won't lie. I attend UJ, and on our first day of orientation, they let us know that we're fully equipped for success. They give us tutors, 24/7 hotline. They give us psychad. We have psychad, that's our psychologist. We have complete access to our professors and our lecturers as well. They encourage us to also, interact with our classmates, our colleagues. We have a peer mentorship program where we have mentors in second, third, fourth year honors sometimes even. And so we're allocated a lot of resources. I was shocked because even the fact that our library is open 24/7, I was like, what? That is, and so sure, I was just really grateful for that. Apart from the fact that, our classes were so big, we had an amount of 300 students in a class per session. We had long hours until 6, from 8 to 6 learning. But I think what I was really grateful for was the amount of resources we are allocated, not just to pass, but to pass really well, to really succeed, and to do really well in our industry as well.
Okay. The amount of resources, and I suppose that can also be a lesson at times, because we think that we should just be giving them, but then they are overwhelmed, perhaps, at how much we're giving them.
Yes, I think so. I think that can be very overwhelming, the amount of resources that you have available, and because you don't actually know how to use them. I think it's also one of the things that can get students so bogged down, because you have so much, you just don't know where to start with it and how to break it down. And I think the saying that how do you eat an elephant a little bit at a time, that's where that becomes so much more important. With the amount of resources that you have, what are you doing to maximize and optimize those resources so that they work for you? It's not so much about taking everything in, but it's about taking in what it is that you need at that point in time and making that work for you in order to be then successful.
Yeah, and I think it's so well. Yes.
I just wanted to tie in what you're saying also with what Michelle said, to say you don't know what you don't know, right? But it's important to familiarize yourself with it. And at first, it's just so exciting. You have this freedom, you're wearing bum shorts, it's nice, right? It's positive, it's exciting. You can do whatever you want. You are becoming your own person. So even with the introduction of the different resources that are there, I don't know if I actually need this. So you should shove a lot of them to the back seat or the back of your mind, that now when a crisis comes and God forbid you fail a test, you don't know where to start. Do I start by going to the tutor? Do I go consult? Do I go to psychad? What's happening? Because you took those resources that you didn't know that you will actually need, and you shove them at the back of your mind because the freedom is just too great.
Sure. Can I come in here and add to exactly that? Our system often makes students rely solely on themselves to get through matric. And when they come, it's almost a sign of failure to have to reach out and ask for help. And a number of students have said, you're encouraged to consult, but what does that mean? And how do you consult? And do you go to the lecturer, who is the professional? It's very intimidating
as well.
So,
Sure. There's a lot of adjustments, I think, clearly from what we're discovering. And similarly, you know, with what you added, you sit on the side of, as a bursary fund, you know, and you're looking at this and you're taking in all of these students. And sadly, it comes to the end of first year, and there are some students that you have to let go of.
Mm-hmm.
In your experience and over the years, what makes the difference between those who keep their bursary at the end of first year and those who unfortunately don't?
Consistency. Consistency from the beginning of the year till the end of the year. And consistency in terms of, again, eating that elephant one bit at a time. Not leaving everything to the end and then wanting to cram. Because I think what matric or high school teaches or lets you get away with, let me put it that way, is cramming. Leaving everything to the end and then just cramming, and then still you'll be able to get through, right? Varsity is not about that. It's about understanding.
Yep.
Learning to understand, not learning to cram. Because you need to kind of figure out how everything fits into each other. And from the beginning, when you first learn these new courses, it's new concepts, like completely new concepts. Everything that you would have learned in matric, sometimes you kind of need to unlearn it in order to be able to relearn, right? And some of the things you would be hearing about, you would have heard about it in matric, so you're hearing about it again. Don't be so overconfident to think that, oh, I know this, I got this. Unlearn so that you can relearn, right? And then again, consistency. So if, for example, you are tasked with a tat, don't say, "Oh, it's fine. I'll catch up later." You know, get that timetable, your own timetable, from the beginning of the year, and discipline yourself to say, "Okay, I'm going to give myself these 2 hours, you know, to study, or I'm going to give myself Saturday morning to study." So that by the time exams come, you are literally revising. You're not starting from scratch with having to relearn chapters and chapters and chapters of work, because really it is chapters. You know, going through a 20-page chapter is long. It's a lot, and it's a long. It's not like a quick, like 5-minute thing, because you're having to learn and familiarize yourself with concepts and so on and so forth. So it does take time. But if you are consistent from the beginning of the year, trust me, you'll be able to get through. And consult. To what Michelle said, when you don't understand, don't be fearful to ask, because by asking, you are also kind of reminding the lecturer of something that they might have forgotten to share, number one. But secondly, you probably are asking questions that will empower someone else and will allow the lecturer to kind of think about, oh, okay, let me change this concept and the way that I've been teaching it, so that it can be easier for me to explain it to someone else. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, be consistent and consult. The 2 C's.
The 2 C's. Be consistent and consult. Looking back, I can safely say I probably was not so great at that, and that's why my first year was such a challenge.
Can I add another C? And it's consistency across the entire course.
Yes.
From first year to third year or to fourth year.
Yes.
There's no out party in first and second year and settle down.
Yes, no, that's true. Yeah.
So I agree with everything you said.
And I think, as you're saying, like when you say across all course and modules, because sometimes the focus becomes, oh, these are my core modules, and then the difficult ones are what you hear, because also that's based on what other people have said and not through experience. But then you let these other modules put aside, but now they create anxiety for you when it comes to exam time.
And to what Michelle had said, working with the modules that you like. So because you like it, it's the ones that's giving you the A's and allowing you to pass, you will focus so much of your energy on those ones, because you know you've got this in the bag. Then the ones that you are struggling are the ones that you neglect, because you feel like, I'll come to it later, you know, I'll come back to it. And also because you're not getting it right, it eats at your self-confidence, because you feel like, I'm going to fail it anyway, so, you know, I'll come to it later. the ones that you are not confident in, or the ones that you are not doing well in, are actually the ones that you should be focusing on, because there's a lot of learning that you need to get from those ones. The ones that you are doing well in are the ones that you just need to park a bit, not completely ignore, but just park for your focus a bit on those, because you've learned what you needed to learn. You know, you can't fill a cup to its capacity, it's going to overflow, right? But you can fill a cup to its maximum because it's still empty. So where the cup is empty is where you need to focus, and where the cup is overflowing is where you need to just let it go.
Sure. Yes.
I'm sorry for raising my hand. I'm a lecturer, so I'm used to lecturer. I think I just wanted to add to the thought that you brought in about consultation, right? I always say this to my students: ask, because if you don't ask, as lecturers, we assume you understand. What's going to happen is that now when you write that test, you'll say, okay, when the lecturer was saying this is how I thought I'm going to approach it, so I'm going to put it down, and then you get it wrong, and then you're like, but why is it wrong? I understood you when you're explaining in class, and this is what I thought is the correct. Like, no, this is not what I taught. So consulting is very, very, very important. Also because different lecturers have different ways of setting their assessments, two marking. They're all looking for different elements based on the course outline. So it's very important, and I know this because I was a student as well. You don't read your course outline. Right, which is very, very important, because that tells you what you're going to have to learn from this class. So everything that your lecturer is sharing with you in the class must align to the course outline. So now when you're asking your questions, it's, okay, this is what I think you're saying. Is this what you're saying? So if you ask a question and answer it in this way, would it be correct? Right? So that also helps you to channel your mind. Now you're also pre-preparing for your assessments already. You have one up the people that are not using the resources of consulting.
And I wonder, I mean, we have some lecturers with us. Is there truly no stupid question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, in the sense of consulting, because I think perhaps a big thing is consulting can allow you the safe space that perhaps in class you feel intimidated by, because everybody else might ask, but she just said that. Because even if you're asking perhaps in consultation a question which had been said in class, but sometimes you need to say something twice or say it out loud, and just to hear the lecturer's confirmation, like, okay, even if you did cover it in the classroom. I always wonder, because we always say that, there is no stupid question.
I think the notion of the stupid question comes in when you are expecting the lecturer to go through the full module that they've already taught from scratch for you, because you didn't take the time out to go and actually interrogate or go through the books, right? So you come to consult and you're like, but I don't know. What don't you know?
Yeah, I don't understand.
I don't understand.
What don't you understand?
Don't you understand? That's what you need to be able to articulate to show that there is a bit of effort that you have taken yourself to kind of understand the material, and then the lecturer is then helping you to kind of build the bridge to what you don't understand. Not for them to have to, they've already taught. Right? In the lecture with the 500 or the 300 students, then you're coming to consult and then you are expecting them to start from scratch. That is unfair.
But I think I hear your side of the story, right? I just think from my side, especially as an academic performance coach, I see it differently. So what ordinarily happens is that at the beginning of the year, we tell the students, you have to consult, you have to do this, you have to do that, right? And then they go back into their rooms and then they feel overwhelmed, right? And then they're like, where should I start? And then there's a lot happening. So because of that, what I've realized time and time again, sitting with students from No-Valo side, is that there's so much shame when it comes to how they see consulting. Because from our perspective, you're thinking, oh no, you just look at, what don't you know, and then you just get there and then you ask the question. So that's something that also we have to consider when it comes to where is the student when they are coming in. And also to your point, Benita, remember, you are getting there a lot of resources, so many lectures, so many tutors, so many of this. Who is actually guiding the student and saying, this is where you start and this is where you go? And when you are getting into that room and consulting, this is where, maybe you have to structure it this way and also do this. But then I think my point here is not necessarily to say, maybe there's a stigma around consultation from the student side, and maybe the lectures are only pushing it a certain way. I think I'm trying to get to a point of perhaps what we do here at No-Valo, right, is to acknowledge the fact that there are a lot of resources there. So many lectures, 24/7 library, but then at the same time, when the student goes back into their room, there's a lot happening. There's a lot they're thinking about. There's a lot they're looking at. So this is one of the things that I really do think that when it comes to our partners, this is where we get in and we try to say, for the student, who is holding your hand? Because yes, there's all of this, but you don't know where to start. And sometimes others are fortunate enough because they do have parents that can walk the journey with them. But then others, they just think, oh my goodness, because I have all of these things, I can't disappoint, the bursary fund. I can't. So I think from our perspective, we do agree, definitely the students have to consult. But then at the same time, it's also important for most of our partners also to acknowledge the fact that other students are struggling because they do believe that when they step into the lectures room, they might feel judged. So for example, in March this year, when we were talking to the PGDA candidates, most of them said that's why they don't consult. They feel like when they get there, they have to know a certain thing, and they feel like the lecturers are expecting that they should have done way more than what they should have. But then that's on another level. But I'm just saying, just for consideration, there is an element of some sort of self-management that the student has to learn.
Yes.
And that is why it's important to, also have some sort of coaching to guide the student on that as well.
I really love that you shared that, because I think that's where really No-Valo comes in terms of supporting the student in empowering them. And how do you approach? What are the right questions to ask? The small questions that you were mentioning to say, what don't you know? That's already covered in your coaching session, right? So you say you don't understand this chapter. Let's talk about what exactly you want to talk to your lecturer about. Let's have that mapped out. So the confidence building. So when you now wind up getting into the office, you're really confident. You know that you're supposed to be here and you can be here, and you know the exact questions that you're going to ask, the flow, the goal that you're going to attain from this consultation. So yeah, definitely No-Valo is doing great in that.
Can I say, though, to your point, I think students need to remember that the lecturer, as much as they are the professional, they are human first, right? So you are talking to another person. They're not going to eat you. And I always say to my students when I talk to them, even when they come to me and they're like, oh, Debo, I'm like, for me, they always say, I'm so scared of you. I'm like, why? Like, I'm human. I'm not going to eat you.
I'm scared of you too.
Why? You see? I'm not going to eat you. Like, you know what I mean? You are human first. So you're dealing with a human first, right? And then you are dealing with a professional. So if we can sit in a position where we can respect each other from that perspective, you can then go far. So I do get the fact that you could be intimidated or you could feel like overwhelmed. I don't really know where to start. But pull yourself back. Remember, you are dealing with a human first. And then when you remember that you're dealing with a human, then you can then say, okay, how would I want this person to respond to me? So I would want this person to respond to me with understanding. I would want this person to respond to me with some form of empathy. And I would want this person to respond to me with clarification, because that is exactly what I came here for. I didn't come here for judgment. I came here for clarification. And once you can get to that point of understanding the positioning, that I'm coming here as a human, coming to ask another human to help me, then I think you can get to a point where you can get the answer that you're looking for. Whether it's I have not done the amount of work that I needed to do, so I'm already coming in from a back foot, that's fine. Acknowledge that. Ma'am, I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't done my part, and I'm sorry, but can you help me? who's going to say no? Because you're starting from a position of acknowledgement of the fact that I haven't played my part, right? But my role as a bursary fund manager, or my role as a lecturer, is to help you. I'm here for you. If it wasn't for you, I would not be where I am either. Do you get what I mean? So let's work together to get you to where you need to get to. But I can't help you if you are not coming to me to ask me to help you.
I'm a bit half and half with that. And this is mainly because when I was a student, I wish I had a coach to prepare me for the only time I consulted in my life.
That means you were like,
I was scared of consulting.
I was scared. I wasn't really scared, but I didn't think I needed it.
Yes,
So
that's the thing.
there's that,
There's
right?
that,
But
yes.
at that moment I failed, so I knew something had to happen. So I needed to talk to somebody, and it's the person that failed me. And so I went to consult, and I did my background in terms of trying to prepare as much as I thought I needed to prepare for the consultation. But unfortunately, I was not met with the kindness that I expected. I was not met with the understanding and the guidance that I expected. And I only knew that when I walked out of the consultation room and there's a student that came after me that was given the lowdown of the test. And I actually didn't leave. I stood by the door. And I'm hearing this happening, and I'm like, I literally was asking the same questions, but I didn't get the same responses as this student. Why? Because there are certain red tapes that do exist, right? There's race, there's classism, and there's also gender that comes into play that we really need to also balance out. Hence the preparing for the consultation matters, right? In those preparing moments, we need to look at who is your lecturer. You know, how do they interact with other students? So that now you also interact. You say, okay, if your lecturer maybe shows signs of maybe racism, let's see how you can now manage that consultation, and how you can maybe not rub them off the wrong way, and how you can still extract as much knowledge as you still can from them. If you feel that maybe your lecturer looks down on women, right, or black women, then let's have a conversation. Let's see how that looks like. Almost like profiling, right, that helps the students to be at a position that they actually still benefit. Because at the end of the day, like you said, they are human.
Yes.
Right. And
they're unconscious bias.
100%. They have unconscious bias that sometimes come up, you know, unconsciously. So I think the preparation definitely is important.
Sure. That's true. I think that was a deep dive into that. And I just, you know, without taking us back into it, but as Michelle said earlier, I had thought to myself that one of the things that when you said that, you know, they don't know how to ask for help is, remember, we're meeting students here we're bringing them in at what we are at the same level. But these are individuals who are not at the same level.
Yes.
So, for example, somebody might come from a family structure where they've always asked for help.
Yes.
And somebody else might come from a family structure where they've had to make way and make due for themselves throughout. And I'm thinking about it from a personal perspective. Is that as much as I've got family and I've got a support structure, but my whole academic journey, to what you said, was alone. It was just me. And when I walked into university, yes, you guys are telling me to consult and to 2 hours there, and all of these tutors were there. But from a psychological perspective, I don't know what that looks like. And I didn't. And even the few times that I did consult, there was still some kind of a block that prevented me to really extract what I needed to extract. And that's why it kept being an uncomfortable thing. Yes, I'd get small nuggets out of it, but it kept being an uncomfortable thing. And I'd look at my peers, I'm like, why are they so comfortable? Like every week they're in that lecturer's office. But I just want us to make the acknowledgement of there is more to it than there's almost like our where we are now is not the same place. And so therefore, and I guess that's where I think the coaching comes in, or having that extraness that can look into and really do a deep dive on where are you right now.
So to not to counter it, but to add on to that, but what I would like to say with our bursary fund, the Tutuka bursary, we fund our groups in cohorts. So they it's not just one student that's funded; it's groups, right? And what that then allows is for peer-to-peer engagement and interaction. Bursary students are lucky because they have that support. So where you feel like your lecturer is not helping me, or you've got your peer that can help you through it, right? And then you can go maybe and consult together and so on. Where a student coming into first year does not feel like they have that support, maybe they're not bursary funded or whatever, find someone else in your class, a friend, that you can go with and walk this journey with. Because walking the varsity journey by yourself is a no-no. Don't even try it. Varsity is not that place where you try and you walk that journey alone. Don't do it. Walk it with someone. Right? And make friends along the way. And making friends is not so much about fun times only. It's also about the times where you're going to need a shoulder to cry on. It's also about the times where you're going to need someone who is academically stronger than you in one module or the other. And that's fine. Just because when you were in high school, you were top performer and you were doing so well and everybody else was coming to you, and now you are in varsity and now you are going to everybody else for help. Do that, right? Because again, you might not necessarily get the sort of comfort or the sort of understanding from your lecturer to what Opi said. You might then need that comfort and understanding from your peer, who is actually the one that is acing the module and you are falling behind. So lean on each other in order to be able to be successful. And it's not a competition. I always say to my students, we start together, we finish together.
We have to.
Always say that. We start together, we finish together. Because we are on the journey of helping each other through this journey. And yes, we all want to pass and to, be number one and the top 10. But guys, hey, I say to my students, if you give me 50%, if that's the sub minimum that's needed to get you from first year to second year, it's a 50. Thank you for giving me my 50. The 1% extra that you give me is for Jesus.
My lecturer used to say the same.
Can I add to that? I think one's greatest gift at university is on your peers, actually. That's something that I always try and encourage with the Tutuka students, is that reach out, support each other, help each other. And ironically, just at the end of this year, one of the third year students was coming, came for a bit of a chat and to talk about exam preparation. And I said, do you study with your peers? He said, I don't have any peers. I'm a loner. So I said to him, well, what about at the dining hall? What about chatting or sitting with people who are doing the same degree? And his area of weakness was the very challenging area, auditing 3, and his area of strength was managerial accounting. A few weeks later, he came and told me he sits with a group, and over lunch, they help him with auditing and he helps them with managerial accounting. And he was a different student. Now imagine if he discovered that in first year. And he's just discovering it at the end of his degree. Well, he's still got to do honours, and now he'll go forward with knowing that. And that started at lunchtime with peers. So I can't speak enough to what you've said about reach out to your peers.
Yes, definitely. I think I can also speak to that because, last year I learned that a degree is group work. So a degree is group work. So just like, the student that you're lecturing, I also learned that there are some things that I will learn from my peers that I will never learn from my lecturers. It happens so many times in our study groups, in our, sessions, just like lunchtime, we're discussing something that we learned in class, and, something just clicks when my peer talks. And so it's extremely vital. Group work, study groups, especially for high top achieving students from matric, independent learning is the way to go for them. But I can testify that group work is extremely vital. For success in varsity, it's extremely vital. Yeah.
And group work, we do group work in corporate, guys. Let's not lie.
It's a life skill.
It's a life skill. You know, in order for you to have been at the level where you are today, it's not because you were sitting like this, keeping everything to yourself. You were working with your colleagues in the office in order to achieve a common goal. And that skill, that group work skill that you would be learning in varsity is something that you're going to carry into the workplace. Whether you become an entrepreneur, you need people around you. No man is an island. Whether you become a corporate executive, in order to get to that point, you need people around you. No man is an island. So it's a skill that you should not be running away from, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to work by myself. You need people. And in order for you to climb that ladder in the workplace, it's because of the people around you. It's not because of your own doing.
The sooner the lesson is learned, the better for that student. And Benita, as you know, like you've added now, for you, how did you organize your life when you started in university? Because one of the big shocks is the freedom that often sounds like, you can wear a mini skirt now and nobody's judging you. How did you organize yourself between still having a social life, but of course, the purpose of you being here is that you walk away with a degree?
Yes, thank you so much for that. I think, sure, I was already a very sheltered child. Just from my experience, I was at home, I didn't go to res. And so I think that was a really good thing for me. I was really grateful for that. Not that I'm a rebellious child or anything like that. I do try. But one thing that they did tell us at the start of our first year is that you need to remain focused. If you want to not just attain this degree, but be impactful in your career, in your industry, it's very important that you keep your vision, your sight on the goal. And so I was very intentional about that. Everything that I scheduled, everything I did, it had to benefit me. Everything from, down to my diet, down to I wasn't so disciplined in my sleeping habits, but everything, my diet, what I was reading, the media I was consuming, I ensured that this will only, improve me, even if it's just 1%. I set my mind on the goal, and so I think that's very important, especially in varsity from matric. You're at home with your family. At school, you're very much monitored by your teachers, and then the huge shift to varsity for many students. They're no longer at home; they're at res, and then the learning is very much independent. So your lecturers are not, giving you homework, and so with that responsibility, with that freedom comes a lot of responsibility. And it's very important that students are intentional about being responsible with that freedom. So that was just my approach with it.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
Well, you sound like a very disciplined. Different perspective.
You are not.
I hope my mom doesn't see this, but it's not really. So I think, I love what you shared at the end. I think the freedom that comes with university is actually false. It's false freedom.
Sure.
You are out there, yes, but there's so much more responsibility that comes with that freedom that you don't even feel the freedom anymore, because my mom is not there to come and check if I'm studying, to come and check, okay, what chapters, what are you doing tomorrow, what's happening, what's your timetable looking like. It's all on me. It's all on me. And I used to go out with my friends. I was very social. I was very, very social. But what I settled in my heart is my why. Right? I couldn't have my dad pay for one extra year of me being in university. So that meant that, yes, I love to have fun, but my priority is that at the end of the day, I must have a 50. And I must do whatever it takes before I go to that party. If it means I don't go to that party, I am not going. If I'm not sure that I will get a 50 from the test, then I am not going. because I had it settled in my heart to say, I don't want to disappoint my parents. If there's anything that I'm not going to do, is I'm not going to go home and my dad has paid the whole year, struggling through paying for my fees, and I have failed. I have nothing to show for it. So that's what motivated me to have the balance, to say, yes, there's a freshers ball, but I need to start preparing for 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a party, but there's something that needs to happen as well. I remember, I think my first year, I missed my boyfriend's party. My friends went, I didn't go because I had a test. Yes, I had a test, because now I'm like, okay, that's going to be nice. But if I miss the test to go to the party, it's going to make me anxious. When I'm anxious, I won't be able to concentrate now, even when I'm writing the actual test. So now I need to pick my why, because the fun is there and it's great, but you need to have your why.
Can I also add to that? So I'm going to pivot the story a bit in a sad way, but there's a purpose. There's a student this year, right? To your point about you wouldn't want your dad to pay for an extra year because of the fact that you were not disciplined. So there's a student that we were funding who felt he also didn't want to. He felt like he didn't want to lose the opportunity of being funded by not attending class and so on and so forth. But he did it to the detriment of his own health.
Yes.
Okay.
He was sick.
Sure.
And he thought that he was just going through just normal flu, right? And then he thought, no, but I still need to go to class and I still need to show up and so on. And unfortunately, he ended up losing his life, because by the time that he picked up that it actually was not flu, he had pneumonia. And then he ended up in hospital, and firstly they phoned his parents to come and fetch him, and then his parents fetched him, and then he ended up in hospital. But his whole thing was, and he didn't make it when he was in hospital, right? And it's really, really sad. But his whole thing was, he did not want to lose his funding. He wanted to make sure that he goes to class, that he does, like, he studies overtime and he puts in the work and so on and so forth. It's fine. You can do all of that, but not to the detriment of your health.
100%.
So I love the point that you brought about, you were intentional about your diet, your sleep, and so forth, because your health is your wealth, right? So remember that, in as much as you've been funded, guys, really, when you have a bursary, when you have any form of funding, if you can make your funder understand that you are not well, no one is going to sit there and say you made it up, or that you don't you're not playing your part. Take the time that you need to get better, so that you can be the stronger version of yourself, and then continue with your studies.
And again, such an important life lesson, in the sense of, you need to still take care of yourself.
Really, really do.
You need to, if the body, you need to be able to listen to yourself. If it says rest, then it means rest.
Yes.
Because again, you're not going to get a certificate for 100% attendance, or even if there's such, but it's okay to have 80% attendance and be okay.
Yeah.
Physically okay, mentally okay.
And it's also okay to sleep.
Yes,
sometimes
definitely.
you really just need to sleep.
100%.
It's so important.
It's so important. And I think sometimes when students get to varsity, because the freedom, you can sleep at like 2 in the morning, and and you think, no, it's fine if I get like 2 hours of sleep. It's okay, you can get that 2 hours of sleep today, but let that not be consistent in terms of what it is that you do every single day. That's not sustainable. You're gonna crash. So allow yourself the opportunity to sleep. If you need to sleep, sleep. If sometimes you just need to have a Saturday where you are sitting watching Netflix, allow yourself to do that. But let that not be your every single day. Because it's about the discipline. How you come back, how you bounce back, and how you just take care of the responsibility that you have. Because to your point, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that freedom. So allow yourself the time to just binge, chill, do nothing if you need to, or sleep, or If you're sick, allow yourself the time to get better. If it's a week that you need in order to get better, allow it, allow yourself to go through that. Because when your body is speaking to you, listen, don't just ignore it. And I think sometimes we get so focused on the end goal, the degree, that we forget that you only have this one body
to get you to the degree.
Get you to that degree.
And beyond. Zanele, you had a thought?
I have lots of thoughts. I do. I think it goes back to what Benita said, which prompted that, because Benita spoke about intention, right? And I do agree, everyone has to have the intention, but so many students don't know where to start, right? And I think from our side, when it comes to, for example, our Adjusting to Varsity program, we have a module called the difference between high school and varsity. Like literally, it's literally that. Like the difference between high school and varsity. Sounds so simple, but then when the students actually get into the breakaway rooms and actually discuss everything, that's when you get to realize that actually they don't know what they're in for, right? And they also don't know the responsibility that you're also talking about. So I think to that extent as well, that's why maybe I think I always come in by saying that's why performance coaching is important. It's really that, because people get there, but then no one is looking at the self, right? And one of the things you mentioned now around the student that sadly lost their lives, it made me think about one of the resources we have for academic performance coaching, which has to do with the wheel of life. Where literally at the beginning of academic performance coaching, we look into your entire life. And we do this with everyone in our kickoff session. And we say, rate each one. Your health, the finances, everything else. Because what students forget is that as you're making this jump from high school to varsity, it's your life. Like, you can't try to segment and say, I'll put relationships on hold, my health on hold, my sleep. You can't, right? And I think to your point when it comes to sleep as well, and the diet that you mentioned as well, it all sounds simple to us because we are here now and we understand the importance. But then you'd be shocked when you get into our sessions. One of the sessions in first year that we have has to do with energy drainers. And I think that's Chili's favorite. Because we literally, that's your favorite too. Because we literally take it to what are you consuming when it comes to social media, the food, the everything else, right? So but you can take over.
No, she said the people in your life. I was just agreeing. Sorry.
No, I think I'll stop it at that. But maybe Benita can tell us what she loved most about that module as well.
I think with that module, it made me realize that, things in your control, out of your control, can contribute to physical drainage. Like, you physically feel tired from so many aspects that you didn't go to gym, you didn't do sports, you didn't, but simply, having negative energy, it physically makes you tired. The food that you eat, that's where I actually learned to really take my diet seriously, take the content that I consume very seriously. Content that I consume, I noticed even when, I can't really remember who was facilitating the module, but it was really impactful to me. The fact that the music I listen to can physically, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just such an incredible phenomenon that I learned. It helped me to realize that what I give my energy to is extremely important for my journey here. If I want to sustain myself, if I want to maintain, consistency throughout this journey, if I want to make it, then I really need to be intentional about what I give my energy to, the people I give my energy to, the things I consume physically, social media, things like that. And so that's also a reason why that module really impacted my work. It really did.
Yeah. So what you saying? Sorry. Everybody's like, yes, on this one. I had a thought about, how people talk about, I work so much better in a messy space. right? It's so much better for me. It's a messy space. That's I think one of the lies that we also tell ourselves. About the whole thing about like organized chaos. It can never be organized if it's chaotic, and I think sometimes even the importance about just the weight that gets lifted off your shoulders when you have a clean space that you're working from. I think that's one of the things that I would also say students need to remember. Having an organized and a clean space allows your mind to just be a lot more focused, and allows you to just open yourself up to the fact that, okay, this is what I need to do. And kind of it declutters. That having a decluttered space is so important. And I think don't allow yourself to sit in a space that is like, again, you've got the freedom in your room, you've got clothes up to here, you've got books up to here, and you're just like, I know where everything is. If I just, clean your space, work in a decluttered space, because that always also declutters the mind.
Yes. Just to add to that, not all students have the luxury of being able to work wherever they'd like to work. Some people are just confined to a room.
Yes.
So how do you separate your bedroom and your study room? And there was a beautiful experiment where what they did is they introduced a lamp to the room. So when you were studying, if you turned the lamp on, that was study time. When you turned it off, that was your room. And they did it with a control group, and then another group that didn't have the lamp. And the results indicated a 10% higher mark.
Mark even?
Yes.
Wow.
So even if your circumstances that you are studying in are challenging, something as simple as declutter your space, but demarcate, this is study time, this is relaxation time.
Yes. I mean, if that works, the library will have a messy section. Like, this room is too messy.
Yes. So can I also just say, in the 25 years, going on 26 years that I have taught at a university, the most challenging aspect of helping students is to get them to sleep enough. And that is, but the inroads that have been made, because now we have science supporting that you need your 7, 8 or 9 hours. Before it was, no, I can't do that. And the number of students living on 5 hours for years, and 6 hours is a luxury. And that's where the types of courses that you run, you give people permission to sleep. You say, and students think that they have to be hard on themselves. There's so much at stake, got to push. And your courses and what we encourage is we give you permission to sleep. And if you don't sleep, then there's a problem. And that has been one of the biggest, what students have reported back, particularly towards exams, and when the degree is really challenging, giving themselves permission to sleep.
And I think with what we are discussing now, I'm going to throw in a bit of a perhaps controversial statement. And I'm going to start with you, Opani, and ask you, can students fake it till they make it?
Yes. 100%. They can definitely fake it till they make it. Why?
Yes, why?
Because as human beings, we are not fixed. We are consistently creating ourselves. So if I am not consciously creating myself, something is creating me. Hence, we have conversations about social media intake, what we are putting into us, right? Where we are not consciously thinking about how that is shaping us, but it is. So when I am a student and I am faking that I'm an A student, I am creating it for myself. How that works is that now my mind will start to believe it. When my mind is convinced that I am an excellent cook,
Trying to convince yourself.
it's still a work in progress, but your mind is convinced of something, right? What that happens now is that your energy shifts around that particular thing. You meet a certain task with different energy. You meet it with a different perspective, right? Because like I actually don't remember who used this quote, but I love it so much, to say that your brain is like a park, right? And you're constantly creating connections. Your neurons are constantly creating new connections. So when there's like maybe a park of failure, to say I'm just an average student, right? I'm not an A student. I'm not even going to attempt to sit in front because I'm not the smartest, right? There's a path that your brain has created that you constantly walk on. Almost like when you're going hiking, right? That hiking trail didn't appear when the earth was created. Somebody walked that path and said, oh, this is a very safe path to walk when you want to go up there, right? So your brain does that as well. Your brain creates those different paths that you get to walk on. So when you're faking it until you're making it, you're creating a path for your brain to now start functioning. So we're constantly creating ourselves. So if you don't fake it till you make it consciously, something is creating it.
Can I add a slightly different aspect to that? I always say when the talent runs out, the hard work begins. And so many of the students that come to university are there because they're talented. And the problem arises when the talent runs out and people then feel that they can't grow or develop. And that's where, now you're discovering your blind spots. This is where you befriend those blind spots, and you just have to work really hard. Unfortunately, a lot of talented people seem to be very successful, but really, if you dive deeply into people who've succeeded in life, it's that step from, at one point in my life, the talent ran out, and I just had to work.
Sure. I guess that would be the making it part.
Now you must make it. The fake it has, the making it part.
Definitely. And I think I love what you said, Bunny, on the fixed part of it, right? And I think that's why our courses are so intentional, because one of the modules we have is on study mindset, and another one is also on the self-leadership. And through the study mindset one, when people are attending it, they don't know what to expect. But then at the core is really around how do you build a growth mindset, right? Because there are certain things that have worked throughout the journey in high school, but that doesn't mean they will work now in varsity. And you need to think differently and actually also show up differently as well. And then also when it comes to the self-leadership module that we have, the main thing there is around really getting to understand your self-limiting beliefs. And to your point, when it comes to identity, there's so many things that we've attached to ourselves, right? And we identify a certain way. So I also agree with you that faking it until you make it really has to do with developing the growth mindset, but then also being in a position whereby you can get rid of, the burdens that you've had as well that have been so heavy, so that you can move on to the next one.
So the interesting thing with your brain is that the less you walk down a path, the lesser the connections become less stronger. So what you're strengthening in, so your daily meditations, your affirmations, what you're constantly telling yourself about you, really, really matters.
And that's why the power of self-limiting beliefs is so strong. Because if you keep telling yourself, I am a failure, I am it's something that you end up believing. Whereas if you fake it till you make it, and you tell yourself that, yes, this might be a tough course, but I will get through it. Yes, I'm not understanding now, but I will get to a point where I get it. Yes, I am sitting at a 45 now, but I will make it to my 50. And besides, the marks between a 45 and a 50 is really just 5, right? So telling yourself that I will get there will eventually lead you to getting there. But talking yourself down, once you talk yourself down to a point, you actually can talk yourself down to a point where it becomes difficult to come back up again. And that's then where depression and all of these things come up, because then you've talked yourself down so badly that even when someone is saying to you, you can make it, the first thing is, no, I can't.
Yeah.
Ladies, this has been an exciting conversation. And before we wrap up the conversation, I want to ask each of you in just 30 seconds if you can each share if there's one thing that you would tell a first-year student to adopt in their first week to set them for success at university, what would it be? And it's open for anybody to start. Yes.
I think, is it one?
Yes, one. So that each one can get an opportunity.
Okay. I think it's really important to set healthy routines. Right, healthy routines. And routines also look different based on who it is. So I cannot now adopt your routines because we are different people, right? When I was a student, I was a night owl. So during the day, I'm out and about, I'm shopping, I'm with my friends, I'm having a good time, or I'm sleeping, right? But I know that if I need to study, my focus time is at night, right? That's when I am able to study, I'm able to concentrate without distractions, and I get a lot of work done. So then I need to have healthy routines and rhythms that work for me, right? But what that looks like is I can't just sit down and say, okay, I can study from 6 to this or from this to this. I need to have someone to help me put in the structure. Someone who is either walk the road or someone who is an expert. So getting a coach is really, really important. So get someone that's on the outside that can also help you. Because sometimes I think I know me. But at 18, you really don't, they're not even a fraction, right, of who you are or your habits and so forth. So getting someone from the outside to be like, hey, these are the different patterns that I'm seeing. You want to maybe adjust this and we work this way so that you strategize for success. So yeah, healthy routines.
Okay, Michelle?
I would love to say that my number one priority would be consistency because I think it's so important. But I actually think my advice would be find something you're passionate about. So even in a degree where you may have 4 majors and only one of those courses is what you truly love, you'll get through the remaining courses. But if you're not passionate about something in your degree, it's very, very hard to to get through and across the line. So just one thing that you're really passionate about will help.
I think for me, I think it's one thing that is important to adopt is kindness to yourself. We become so hard on ourselves because we want to be the best and we want to, overachieve and want to have achieved this by this time and this by then. Sometimes it's also okay to just not be okay. And in that moment when you are not okay, be kind to yourself, but also be kind to others because you never know what people are going through and you never know how your engagement or your interaction with that particular person can shape or change their day.
I totally agree.
Benita? You've been there not so long ago.
I'm still, but I think I have a bit of experience to speak on it, just like Dr. Opani talked about finding your why. I think that's very important for me, and it drives everything that you do on your varsity journey. For me, my why was that I understood that my life is not for myself, and so I understood that my life is not for myself. I understood I was created not just, for my own self, but I have a bigger purpose. And so my why was that I couldn't, with all the resources that I was given, not just in varsity, but in life in general, God has blessed me with a beautiful family, with, the fund, with No-Valo was a huge blessing, and it's still a huge blessing for me. I couldn't let God down, with all the resources that he gave me, and on top of that, grace to still get up from tough times, from setbacks, and even mistakes I've done myself because of negligence, irresponsibility. So if I had to advise a first year, it's finding that why, and if you can, ensuring that that why is beyond yourself. When it is about you, then you're kind of okay, because I can disappoint myself for many other people, but when it's beyond you, for example, a family member, for example, a higher being, God, then you're more reluctant to let yourself down or to let the other person down. So definitely finding that why, which will lead almost everything in your life. The moment that you wake up, it will guide your decisions, and in turn guiding your entire university experience.
And lastly, Zanele?
This was so beautiful. I'm still taking you. Jessie, from my side, I would say take time to figure out who will be in your advisory board for your entire varsity life. Because we've said it today that students have been walking the journey alone in high school, so they think they have to do it alone again in varsity, and you can't, right? So where to start there? Like, just take a piece of paper and say, is there a person I can approach for mentorship and mentor within my lecturers? If maybe I'm afraid of consulting still, who's the one who looks a lot more friendly, so that I can start and get that help within the tutors as well? Who is my person? Jot it down so that this is the person, this is where I am going to get them. And then also, we've been talking about the fact that yes, us at No-Valo, we are performance coaches as well. So, you can even get some free material online to get that coaching if you are not part of our program. But then also beyond that, also we've been talking about the peers, right? The power of actually engaging with other people. So take time, get to know the person next to you. Because when you get there, it's like the university is big and you're thinking, oh my goodness. Get to know the person next to you and make friends. And then also something that I've realized that the students don't think about when it comes to their advisory board is at the beginning, who is going to be my sponsor? Yes, you might have a bursary fund already, but already start looking into the other opportunities that I would like to take on. Are there people who can already help open rooms and even, so that I can reach greater heights beyond university? So my one would be get an advisory board on your own.
Can I have a last one, please? Sorry.
Yes.
I want to say universities provide so many resources. One of them is the career fairs and your career engagement days. Attend those. Attend those. Like, go and walk. I mean, the companies are there on campus, right? For you for that day. Go and engage with them, right? Take that opportunity, because that is how you start to build your network. Find a recruiter, because people always say, okay, no, I'm in first year, there's no point. You are in first year, there is a point of going there. The companies are there for you to get to know them. Build a relationship with the recruiter even from there. Even if you've got nothing to ask, or you've got really nothing to say, introduce yourself. Hi, I'm whoever, I'm a first year student at WITS. I'm studying this course. And then can I please get your contact details? I don't have anything to say right now, but I mean, as maybe time goes by, I could be part of, whatever engagement session that you are having at your company. That is how you start to build your network. People always think that you start to build your network when you are rich, or when now you've got the job opportunity, or now you've got the words to speak. No. Already as a first year, in that time when there's the career day, make that time, take the time out, go walk that corridor, get to know those companies. And then bit by bit, you'll start to build those relationships and build your network. By the time you get out at varsity, by the time now you're starting to look for a job, by the time that you're starting to look for a career opportunity, because you would have started already at first year building those networks, it becomes a bit easier. It's not as difficult to start looking for those grad programs, because you've already started to get to engage with the companies and get to know what opportunities are out there.
Sure. Yeah, I think for our very first session, this was a powerful session. And I think any first year student who's about to walk into university, do yourself a favor and watch this full episode. To all of those who have watched it and you know somebody that is in first year, make sure that you share this episode with somebody else, because that could potentially change dramatically how somebody succeeds or doesn't within their first year. This was No-Valo's first round table, and we were so excited to have you with us. And that was our very first episode of the No-Valo Round Table, where we got so much from our panelists. We heard from Dr. Opane, who says to you, remember to keep a healthy routine, a healthy rhythm that works for you. And what works for your friend might not necessarily be what works for you. We heard from Michelle, who has been at the University of Witwatersrand for many years. And she says, find that thing that you are passionate about within your degree. This has been all about you. And I think the important thing to take away is for you to realize that nobody expects you to know everything on your very first day. This chapter of your life is about growing, and you're going to grow in the discovery of those things that you do not know. They might feel uncomfortable in the beginning, but go for it and discover, what is it that I don't know? And remember, you aren't doing it alone. Find your support from your lecturers, your tutors, a mentor, a coach who can walk this journey with you. I'd like to thank my panelists for sharing so honestly and sharing from their well of wisdom with us today. To Dr. Opane, to Benita, to Zanele, to Bishal, and of course to Tebogo as well. Thank you for joining us for our very first episode. And if you have found this episode beneficial to you, please like and subscribe to our channel. And if you think that you know somebody who could benefit from this episode, please ensure that you share it so that we can all have a successful first year. In what we didn't know, now we can pass on to others so that they know and they do better. This was our very first episode, and I was your host, Thulisile Mkiti. I can't wait for you to join us in our second episode of No-Valo Round Table.